that, you're going to let me go?
You're going to give me my personal space and just, you know, let me be a human being? Are you dumb as f or what, dude? Get off your rocker and listen up.
Let me ask you a question. Is this a sales prevention line?
The cringe. Let me ask you something. And seriously, this is a genuine question. Is this a sales prevention line? Because you suck at this.
People that are order takers go work at Walmart, but people that can influence and persuade learn to close. They can get whatever dream they want in life.
People who are order takers work at Walmart. I like how it's just like, if you work in the service industry, you're a piece of shit. There's been not one alpha who works at Walmart, all right? It's funny too, because he's selling this idea that everyone can just be a leader. So much of what is going on, and especially even with Andy here, is a big 4-letter word called luck. Luck is a huge factor of how shit moves. You can't just, not all these things just fall into your lap, and sometimes just life deals you a shit hand. Just because you work a service industry job doesn't make you a weak-minded person. And you know what, here's the thing, it's okay to want more and want to do things as well, but you shouldn't have to beat yourself up because you're earning a living and you're paying your bills and you're taking care of yourself. You know what that is? That's being a functional member of society. That's being someone who is taking care of themselves, maybe even taking care of their family, and that within itself is the most respectable thing you can do on this fucking planet. You don't need some jack off belittling your experience as a human being for working these jobs as well. Not everybody wants to be a fucking leader, dude. A lot of people are just like, I would love to just simply wake up and exist today. And that is more than fine.
Okay, don't ever let me catch you being an order taker again, okay?
I appreciate you.
Oh God, don't ever let me catch you being an order taker again. Dude, fuck off. Oh God, the cringe. Oh God. He kind of said that sexually too, doesn't he?
Now, don't ever let me, oh man, you got me acting up right now. All right, don't ever let me catch you taking orders again, all right?
Okay. And he's like,
good boy.
You're just a normal person. You want to be normal? You want to have a normal bank account? You have a normal car?
God, dude, you want a normal bank account? Makes you, oh God.
Go ahead. Nobody will laugh at you when you're normal. No one's going to laugh at you. You'll fit right in. Good job. Good job. You fit right in.
You know what's funny is that I think in a weird roundabout way, he's saying don't blend in with the crowd, be your own person is kind of what he's trying to say, which I think even for normal people you can do, but exceptionally here, him saying that if people laugh at you, it means you're doing something better. Sometimes being the butt of the joke is not a good thing. Sometimes being abnormal is a reason that you are trying so hard to be a zebra amongst like horses. It's obnoxious. Like you're putting a giant spotlight on yourself to be like, am I special? Is there any more? It's like, there's nothing more insincere or someone who is so self-conscious about their place in life where they have to be so loud that they're distracting, and then when people have negative things to say about them, it's because they're jealous. So because I'm so unique and I'm so loud and I'm so crazy, you're not on my level. You don't understand who I am, but really you're just a leech. You're a parasite on the fabric of this society, and that's why everybody is quote unquote laughing at you, but really they're not laughing, they're criticizing you. And there's a giant difference between being in on the joke and criticizing someone for something that they're doing that is, for lack of better words, annoying, bad, and like I really have no other word for it. It's these little tactics too of him being like, oh, you want to be normal? Dude, all right, man, be normal. You want a house with a wife and a kid? Hey, no, you do you, man. You do you. You have enough money to live off of, and you and your family live comfortably, and you're very happy. All right, man. Are you a millionaire? No. Okay, well, you'd be a whole lot happier if you were.
How many cars do you sell a month?
I'm limited.
I don't even know what the hell that means. When you're here for 9.5 hours a day, how many cars do you sell right now?
One.
Don't fire warning shots.
Okay, all right. There's no way you can be fulfilled as a man. I wish every one of you could just get angry when you're letting somebody down that believes in you.
Guys, I want you to form a hatred. Whenever you're feeling insecure about yourself and you're letting someone down, that's when you need to start cultivating rage, because rage translates to harmony. All right, punch a couple holes in walls. When you get home, slap your wife around, take it out on something, build up that rage. Because when you start doing that, you'll become a monster, and you'll want to fight that monster to become a better salesman.
There's no way you can be fulfilled as a man.
To say you're not fulfilled as a man is insane. You could definitely say you're not professionally fulfilled, because in all honesty, he probably isn't. He's at a sales seminar, he's there to get some help, but instead, you're not fulfilled as a man goes so much farther and belittles his character. It belittles belittles him professionally, and it belittles like all insecurities he has as well. Because here's another thing, 9 times out of 10, a lot of these guys are going to say whatever he's wanting him to say. One, because it might be plants. Oh, Hunter's saying he's planning? I don't know, maybe. Are these verticals fabricated events for social media campaigns? I don't know, you didn't hear it from me. But also, if there was someone there was a stranger, a giant bulking man that you've paid to come see, because if you got up and left, that's money you've wasted, who's looking you right in the eyes. You're around all these other men who are staring you as well. You're kind of wanting probably this interaction to be done with as soon as possible. So I might as well just let him, I'm just gonna say what he wants to hear so this can just be done because I'm so uncomfortable. Or you might be so insecure that he is brainwashing you and manipulating you into saying what he wants you to say, and then you believe him and give him money. So fucking tragic, man.
You know what it'll cost you if you don't get in shape? You think it's hard today when you're 30 pounds overweight? Wait for 2 years. Wait till you're 60, 100. Wait till you get a heart problem. Wait till the people who once thought you were attractive and believed and loved you give up on you because they see you don't love yourself. It's really hard for me to love you when you don't love you.
These are all just, like I should. You think it's hard right now when you're 30 pounds overweight? Give it 2 years. You'll be heavier. It's going to be harder then. You think? Also, you're preaching about heart problems and stuff. Dude, how about all the fucking steroids and supplements you're putting in your body? I know that you look like a great god here, but guess what? All that shit that you're putting in, how does your heart feeling, dude? You're walking around giving a seminar and your fucking veins are about to pop out of your goddamn arm. You couldn't possibly be doing steroids, right? Well, dude, because you look so good right now, well, whenever you have a heart attack and you're not able to do all these steroids and you're a weak old man, are people even gonna love you then? Even if you're not doing steroids, whenever you're unable to keep lifting weights when you're older and you become a lot smaller, you're not as big and you're a weak old man, people probably stop loving you, right? Because people who loved you then, they're not gonna love you now because you're not as strong as you used to be. If you're a big fat bozo, no one's gonna love you right now because people are like, he doesn't take care of himself. There's no other qualities about him. It's only his looks. Look at him. Ew. Unironically, that's what my wife does to me. Andy Elliott, please, I need your help. I will starve myself. I will do steroids. I will become a car salesman if I have to. Please, Andy, please. But you know, him harping on this, the guy is obsessed with fitness. It's a part, I mean, it is a part of every sales tactic he has, is to belittle you because a lot of, I would say the majority of men, I'd love to know a percentage of even in the world, have a six pack. And if you have a six pack and you stand next to a guy who doesn't, who's gonna look better? So it's just like, well, I'm gonna listen to the guy with a six pack because every guy with a six pack, he has his head on right. He's able to not eat carbs. And I love pasta. I must be a real piece of shit, huh?
You ever seen a fucking salesman drink energy drinks all day long? Well, bro, why are you drinking energy drinks all day long? If you were healthy, you wouldn't need an energy drink. Dude, if you had a big goal, if you had a big standard, you'd be so jacked up to hit that, you wouldn't even need an energy drink. But you're dead. You're trying to raise yourself up by fucking drinking energy drinks, dude. You're killing yourself. You get it?
Did you have a Red Bull? You're going to die! Dude, also, here's the thing. Let me tell you something. I'll tell you something right now. People look at me and they say, you're the luckiest guy on earth, right? Which I am. I am extremely lucky. I am always grateful for the position I'm in. But let me tell you, it does not matter what you do. You could be getting paid to do nothing, and that's your job. You could be a streamer. You could be a content creator. You could be a podcaster. No matter what you do, it's awesome for a little bit, but it will always turn into a job. So the idea to always perpetually be happy about this obligation, this thing that is paying, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad job, but it is a job at that. And people in time, it doesn't matter what you do, I swear to God, after a while you'll be like, I don't want to fucking do this today. You're gonna have one of those days because it's a job, and that's normal. Waking up every day hyper fixated and just being like, I can't wait to suck today's dick and sell as many cars as I can, feels unrealistic. And also, you shouldn't punish yourself for having negative emotions. That is the that is like, I'm not even a fucking psychologist, and I can tell you right, that is the worst thing you can do. There are days where you can feel bad. You know why? Because you're a human being, and that's fine. Are you waking up and you feel a bit groggy? Have a Red Bull. I mean, my God, chug 4 of them? Probably not, but have a fucking Red Bull, dude. Is it hard to get up in the morning and you feel like kind of like a piece of shit? That's fine. Work through it. Because guess what? Once you're able to accept these negative emotions and you're able to actually understand and be like, you know what? I am feeling kind of a bit shitty today. The sooner that you'll be able to process that and then move on, because people are able to do that. And then as the day goes on, they're like, I'm feeling better. And you appreciate shit more, dude. This whole idea of just like, it has to be one way or the other, or scolding someone, you feel bad. You're fat and you feel bad, so you're a bad person. You gotta change right now. It's just, it's FOMO. Fear of missing out on this program, fear of yourself. It's just, it's manipulation.
I was making a couple million sitting there, and I looked in the mirror and I hated me. I was disgusted. But everybody's telling me I made it. Then why the hell am I so fucking disgusted because they got it confused. Do you guys know you guys were put here and built to help other people today?
Mike's.
When I leave, I'm gonna go change millions of lives. You are too.
Oh my God, man. All of this comment is so fucking true. Downplay a doctor and go sell a Kia. Keep saving those lives.
Then why the hell am I so fucking disgusted?
Probably because you're living a very facetious and very surface level life where I'm sure all you ever cared about was getting that $1 million. That's why you feel hollow and empty, because there's really no goal. You selfishly sold cars to people, which we're getting ready to get into that. And then now, because you did that, you probably feel guilt. You probably feel disgusted. You probably feel that just because you have a lot of money in your bank account, it doesn't equate to absolute and total happiness. Money is freedom. Money absolutely is freedom, but it is not purpose. It is not drive. Money is a fuel for your ambitions and your passions, and money can set you entirely free. But if the dollar is to be framed and put on your wall, it will do nothing for you. So to chase this dream about being like, I want to make $40 million, it doesn't mean dick. If you have no character, no self-respect, and you have no genuine interest in anything, his whole interest was just sales. So of course you're gonna wake up and you're gonna feel hollow one day, because even though you would change your goal of making $1 million, you're still doing monotonous garbage shit that is just in service to getting this little number a little higher. Also, God forbid you go see some kind of therapist about this. You know what I mean?
Do you guys know you guys were put here and built to help other people today? When I leave, I'm gonna go change millions of lives.
What the fuck are you talking about? Do you guys know that you were meant to have people buy things from you? You're here to help people. That should have transitioned to you saying, it's not a bad idea to get some mental help every once in a while. Seek a professional, have someone to talk to, rely on a family system, anything like that. But no, he isn't just a salesman. He's not a health guru. He's God. All right, he's here to be your daddy in every shape and form. He wants to emotionally manipulate you in the sales room, and then you follow him, and then he becomes your voice for every kind of decision you have to make in your life. Textbook cult shit. Is he forming a cult? I don't know if I'm gonna go that far, but it does feel that way. It feels like a cult leader.
Taking rounds.
Lives. Okay, dude. Delusional bastard. Andy has a few controversies of his own. First off, he steals other people's content and success stories and reposts them as his own. Here's a little side-by-side of Andy Elliott and a guy named Jocko Willard. He also uses stock photos and manipulates them to paint a picture that he's wealthier than he actually is. The Elliott Group, no limits. It's the exact photo, but it's just a digitally painted thing. It's so funny. Loser. He blatantly lies about it, and he also blatantly lies about his success numbers. That's a shocker, right? But this is where I wanted to build up his character here as being the elite manipulator, because there's one thing that is to take away from Andy Elliott, which is his giant controversy. When he was a used car salesman at Big Red India, indicted on charges for fraudulent loans, deceptive banking practices, and flat-out lies. He created this concept of something called King Cash, where they would falsify records saying the customer put down $1,500 on a car in cash when they did not. Banks would use this down payment as a backing for basis on a loan. After being caught confirming the fraud, he sold out all of his teammates and employees in a plea deal. Eddie, alpha shit, dude. That was out. That's king shit, man. King Cash. Big in exchange for an agreement to testify against his co-workers, underlings, and boss, he received full immunity for financial crimes committed, including identity theft and forgery. And during the period of 2014 to 2019, his entire team was convicted of wire fraud conspiracy, forgery, and identity theft. During the events of the fraud trial, a loan officer named Donna Mullins for Tinker Loans admitted to being harassed and threatened by Andy Elliott. Threats happened both over the phone and in person, or even at church. Go with God, Andy. Go with God. And in 2014, a lender was made aware of their fraudulent practices, and Chris Mays, Elliott's boss, emailed threats to the CEO of the lender to cease investigating. On page 61 of an expose with court document testimony, Andy was told to force Donna to keep her fucking mouth shut, and she did so. He threatened to expose her for being a whore. Alpha. Good. Insinuating she slept with many of the employees at the store. They spent whole days of workout sessions role-playing with one another, ways to pin blame on her, insinuating she was any way to discredit her as a person. But you do have identity theft. They are big proponents of identity theft, which part of their loan process involved applications for loans that were submitted without customer knowledge. Portions of the loan proceedings were funneled off to illegitimate parts of the business, and fake documents were made in the customer's names. He would fake customers' pay stubs as well as fake customer utility bills, which is an actual court document thing here. A little back and forth here. The questionnaire said, so they were faking pay stubs? Yes, ma'am. What about utility bills? Every day. Yes, ma'am. Every day what? We would make utility bills because you would have to have two people and we would need to join them together sometime. which he also created a fictitious pawn shop where items were pawned as down payment for cars, but the items were never pawned. Okay, let's just go to the next one. What's this pawn item? A PlayStation 3 for $4,700. Okay, how about the next one? A flash programmer for $5,500. And the next one, this is a weed eater for $4,700. The next one, Ozark Trail outdoor equipment, looks like a tent. It's a tent for $6,000, which I love that. A PS3 host spawn for $4,700. A weed eater for $4,700, and an Ozark tent for $6,000. He also used bribery and manipulation against Tinker Loans employee Donna Mullins. He met the individual at his church during Bible study and found out that she was desperate for money because alphas can smell the blood from a mile away, dude. He's a shark in the water. As soon as there's blood, he goes wild, all right? And as soon as there's a helpless woman who's like, I'm really in need of cash, he's like, what'd you say? You said you need cash? I can help you get cash. Then he paid her in cash with the expectation that she would review and handle loans for Big Red and Norman Mitsubishi, AKA he was a loan shark. And he gave her money and he said, you're going to approve every loan that we send you. And in her desperation, she's probably like, all right. She was asked to resign because it was discovered she was taking money from Andy O. Big Red, owned by Andy's boss, hired her as the finance manager. That's weird. I wonder why. That's okay. There you go. Earlier in this document, we made it very clear that Andy boasted that he made $720,000 after tax, after Social Security and everything, in 1 year selling cars. When the entire basis of that achievement and that thing that is the central proof to being a great salesman was that he was manipulating fraudulent loans, giving people who never had a chance to actually buy the cars, giving them fake down payments for the cars for the loans, and was able to boost up his own car sales. There's probably bonuses involved in doing that as well. And yeah, it's easy to probably rack up $1 million in sales whenever you're just lying, doing illegal shit. And that is the crux of everything Andy is. He's a manipulator. He's a person who is out to prey on people who are insecure, people who are looking for answers. It is a cult. He is trying to run a cult, and he is doing it in a way that is run like an insane man on social media. Andy is not the only man doing this. There are hundreds, I mean, probably thousands of people doing this kind of stuff. There are whole camps and programs dedicated to you going out there and training with them and doing all kinds of stuff. And it's just got to be said that if you ever come across this, and if you're ever insecure in your life, get some actual mental help. Know that you are loved by many and that you do not need to dump your money into a false prophet, savior-esque man who will give you nothing in return but manipulation and heartache. I'm telling you, this man is a fucking snake in the tall grass. Watch out for him. And if there's anything to take away at all from this video, it's for the love of God, don't fall in the hands of an alpha male influencer. Take care, everyone. See you next time.
Yada. But I would say that one of the funniest, yeah, no, Charlie talks to a diverse, broad swath of people in the conservative movement. You know, you got like super rich white guys, and then you got like moderately wealthy white guys. I mean, he's got all different kinds of guys that he talks to. Oh my God, what the f is this? Anti-white racism is blatant in America. No one tries to hide it. Uh-oh. Tim Pool gonna get a lot of play from a particular community of defenders of the white race.
Institutions that are putting in tests. You know, like the Harvard lawsuits restricting white people, and oftentimes they're explicit in why they're doing it. They're outright saying too many white people, too many Asians. So we're gonna change the structure so that we get rid of them. And then you've got corporations that flat out tell people, "Oh, you're white. Sorry, we're not interested." I'll tell you a quick story. We had a pro skateboarder on this show a few months ago. He was a gay man, and he's like, it's not really a big deal. He's like, I don't go around telling everybody. He's like, he got approached by a friend who said, hey, they're doing a commercial for, I think it was a shoe company, and it's like Pride Month or whatever. Would you want to be in it skateboarding? And he was like, oh wow, yeah, that's cool. And when they submitted his reel, the people on the commercial said, why did you send us a white guy? So here is a gay man for their diversity commercial, and they said white person.
Why did you send us a white guy? Like, okay, just because he's gay doesn't mean he's not white. What the f?
And then we played the commercial. No white people in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think actually, you've actually hit on a really important insight.
Tim Pool's talking about the Austin show here, by the way.
Right, that a lot of people miss. And in fact, many people who've written on this issue miss. And an area where I differ a little bit from other folks who've written very good books in a slightly similar areas, guys like Christopher Caldwell and Richard Denania, kind of.
Richard Denania? Richard Denane is literally a straight up white supremacist, bro. He's Palestinian, but pro-Israel. And also, it is also literally a dude who used to write like straight up Nazi shit back in the day. And his opinions haven't really reformed all that much, okay?
What looks about this is that I don't think the Civil Rights Act in and of itself is the totalizing thing that gets us to where we are now. In that, as you point out, these laws are on the books and they're just getting ignored.
Right.
It's in the culture, this type of discrimination. And it really helps when we have folks like Alliance who will actually call this out on lawsuits. But right now, a lot of this discrimination is illegal and it's been happening in plain sight.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I know. I think that's totally right. How did this happen? I'm not sure. It all happened kind of under the radar. There was a lot of push for years.
Yeah, totally, dude. It just this anti-white discrimination and systematized anti-white racism just kind of snuck in on us, dude. The war against whites, baby. It's real. How do we let this slip, guys? How do we let this slip under the radar?
And then DEI, I think, put it on steroids as far as this kind of racialized view of the world and a zero-sum game where, you know, my racial group has to win and yours has to lose. But a lot of big businesses, institutions, and the college and university setting as well, adopted these things and nobody challenged them legally. But it is starting to change. Some of the Harvard decision.
Affirmative action was written by white people to benefit white people? No, that's not true. Affirmative action literally was written by a black Republican, but you are right about it being a Band-Aid solution. Affirmative action in and of itself is ironically a Republican policy. But the reality of it all is that affirmative action, albeit was in the direction of change and progress for some of the wrongs committed towards people of color, specifically black people, it just was always a Band-Aid. It never was like a real solution. Like Obamacare, Romneycare? No, not like Obamacare, Romneycare. The black Republicans at the time of the creation of affirmative action were progressive.
Because when the Supreme Court was kind of the first real shot across the bow, but that's not a limited decision. I think it's going to result in a lot of things, which really are patently illegal and ultimately undermine the core promise of the U.S. experience, which is we're all equal before the law. Switching back. And so I think in the end, the arc is going to be long. We're going to prevail against this.
Bro, this is so funny. Look at this chatter. For the fun time later, top 2 the fall of Andrew. Brother, that was the video we just finished. Whoa, someone did a manufactured authenticity of Brett Cooper video. Let's go. Finally, we're on the same side. Yo, let's go, son. Okay, this is fire. I don't know who Jose is, but you know, much love to Jose. My goat. Okay, we'll do this.
Because it's absolutely contrary to founding principles, constitutional protections, and some existing laws and statutes as well.
Well, I see 2 paths. And I'm hoping, I think a strong component of it will require a Donald Trump victory and a Republican victory in November, considering the stakes of this election. But I feel that I would predict if we were to see a Democrat victory, you are likely going to see the expansion of this as what is written.
Yeah. The war against whites. If you see a Democrat victory, you will see the expansion of the war against whites, which is real, by the way. Is that a joke? I did not know Jose. Chatter, I think you have to remember, I don't really watch a lot of YouTube. Like, I don't have a lot of time. And all the YouTube that I watch on the show. So sometimes if I don't really know a content creator personally, even if they're dope, I often will stray away from watching their YouTube videos. And because like, I don't want to upset them, I don't want to frustrate them, I don't want them to be like, oh, why'd you react to my YouTube video? But usually outside of the 9 hours that I'm live every day, I often don't look at YouTube videos, which is further testament to the whole pre-watched allegations that are fringe ass. Lord Gandhi 420, blaze it Gandhi.
Down in law is completely meaningless. You know, people point out, Donald Trump just got convicted in the court of law.
Yeah.
It's a jerk.
What would be a good modern progressive version of affirmative action? It would be a world where affirmative action isn't a necessity at all, not even a band-aid, because there would be no open room to put a band-aid over it. What I mean by this is a world where there is true material equality, a world where like the equality of opportunity principle that Americans love repeating is real. That would require reparations for the black community specifically, okay? For the harm committed to them by the virtue of the color of their skin, whether it be redlining, whether it be lack of adequate funding for their schools, lack of adequate funding for their social safety nets in general, trying to solve this material inequality that festers in modern American society, and then there would be no need for reparations. The abolition of emergency mission too, obviously, that's another thing, and having a real system that values in a very holistic way all of the characteristics and qualities that a student brings to the table when making the assessment on whether or not someone is worthy of going to a particular college. Beyond that, I would say obviously free college education is a must. Reparations will make race relations worse. Yeah, dude, racist people get real mad that black people get money. Folks, what are we gonna do? You asked me what must be done, what would be the best possible way out of this, and I'm telling you what is just. I'm not telling you what is permissible, what is possible. I'm telling you what is just. This would be the beginning stages of justice. Okay? But I do love that I can't even explain a hypothetical or a possible different way out of this unequal structure, unequal structure, without some dumbass lib chirping, just freaking chirping and being like, nope, no way, Jose, can't do that.
The grievance like Williams and Soviet Union trials as well. No one takes it seriously. When we're looking at corporations that are outright telling people we won't hire you based on race, this happened to me actually. Sort of. So I worked for a company called when we were hosting a big event with I was one of the top paid correspondents. I am also a mixed race person. And we're on the same about the event they were doing and the hosts they had brought on to do it. And it was their top correspondents plus one outside contractor who was black. And so I'm like, hey man, look, you don't got to come and ask me to do anything. Let me do my thing. Switching mates. But I did ask the president of the company. I was like, couldn't help but notice you brought in all of the top paid correspondents and then a contractor and then I'm not invited. And he said, you look too white. Just straight up, he said, you look too white. And I was like, well, check your fire. And he's like, yeah, but and I was like, all right, well, this is straight up with me. And they paid me a lot of money, so I was like, honestly, like, I'm if it was something I was pursuing, like I had applied for it, I'd probably
we're on this I think your experience is really similar. I was one of the first interviews I did about this with Charlie. And Charlie, I thought had something really anecdotal because he talks to such a broad topic.
Yeah, no, Charlie talks to a diverse, broad swath of people in the conservative movement. You know, you got like super rich white guys, and then you got like moderately wealthy white guys. I mean, he's got all different kinds of guys that he talks to. All of them are racist. Okay, even the minority populations represented in the broader conservative movement. Most of them are wealthy. All of them are definitely racist. Okay.
When I talk with my older governors and folks like that, and they say, you know, I start talking about anti-white racism, and they kind of freak out. They're like, oh, you know, like, can we even say that? Is that bad? Is that?
Yeah, because they're not as grouped up, especially because the older people he talks to are literally not as invested in like the. Here's why that happens. Those older rich white guys that he's talking to, as opposed to the younger rich white guys that he's talking to, come from a different era where, one, they saw the civil rights movement happen, and more importantly than that, they probably have their material conditions pretty on a solid foundation. They're gonna die soon. They already have money. They have disposable income. Their situation is not dire. Whereas younger people that Charlie Kirk talks to are coming into the workforce that is dramatically different. Coming into an economic situation that is dramatically different. It is incredibly volatile. Okay? And that volatility causes people to be way more money. That volatility causes younger generations to look for alternative reasons. Because of that endless seeking of answers, people will either look at like capitalism and the structures that bind us, the economic organization of society as it stands, the global economic order, or they look to other things. If you're a liberal, if you are a conservative, you have this idealistic notion that capitalism might have its faults, but ultimately it's like pretty good, and the alternative is much scarier. So clearly it can't be capitalism, it has to be some other shit. What is the other shit? Oh, it's these marginal aesthetic choices that corporations make in terms of trying to showcase how progressive they are, right? That's it. And that's precisely the reason why I think younger Republicans are like way more wiped up than even the older Republicans are. This doesn't mean that older Republicans aren't racist. Of course they are. Having said that, however, there is definitely a momentum among younger Republicans towards, like, I would say, a warmer reception towards dangerous fascist ideology.
Make us racist. Whereas when I go on college campuses and I talk to young people about this, like young white people, they're like, yeah, this is the biggest issue we're facing. You know, thank you so much for raising it. So I think there's also a generation gap here where a lot of old people or older people, you know, even people like me or middle-aged, my generation, don't understand how bad it's gotten for younger people trying to make their way in the world right now on some of this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, are you guys seeing more and more lawsuits or more and more requests for lawsuits?
They're literally describing everything that I just mentioned. No, they're not lying, dude. The situation for younger generations, our generation and younger, the economic situation is dire, okay? It is. I'm 32 years old. I'm about to be 33. Anyone that's younger than me is in an infinitely more predicament than myself. Like 75% of the wealth in this country is in the hands of the boomers, okay? Think about that. There has been no income redistribution, no wealth distribution in this country as a direct consequence of tax cuts over and over and over again. The wealth is trapped up there, okay? It's crazy, brother. It is actually crazy. So yeah, obviously, when you're in that situation, the situation looks pretty dire to you, and that spells that spells trouble. It creates economic uncertainty. It creates fear and anxiety amongst the younger populations, and that creates a perfect environment for people to get swept up in a frenzy and start believing that it must be, I don't know, marginalized people that are at fault, that you are not getting what you are due. You are not getting the American dream. You get what I'm saying?
There are more lawsuits being filed on the overreach of DEI now than there ever has been.
The enemy's taking the lead.
Floodgates really opened with the Harvard decision from the Supreme Court a couple sessions ago. And so, you know, I was just looking at an opinion the other day coming out of the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, where a program that has race preferences built into financial awards. You know,
is it though? Don't more college graduates make like 80K? Yeah, 80K at a time when things are incredibly expensive, especially housing, especially healthcare, especially the college education itself that you just paid for. Those are like the three major sectors that have become unimaginably unaffordable. Okay? That's the problem. You're making 80K, but you live in Los Angeles where you're dumping, or any major market that you can get a job for 80K starting salary implies that you are probably in a housing market that is unsustainable. You're probably dumping half of your paycheck, if not more, into rent, okay? On top of that, a shit ton of that paycheck is going to go back immediately immediately to paying off your student loans because college education costs have gotten out of control. God forbid you get into a healthcare situation, you get into an accident, then you're completely so 80K doesn't necessarily mean 80K anymore. Do you see what I'm saying? So people think like, oh, what are you talking about? Like our you know, wealth has grown dramatically. People are making a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, not necessarily, not really. Oh. And you also forget that you're getting 80K dumping in the rent. Who's taking the money from your pockets? It's boomers. Boomers, if you're making 80K a year and you think that shit's good, boomers have millions of dollars in their savings account, some of which is directly tied back to the real estate market. Now, all of that looks really good when you think about the GDP. There's just a lot more money circulating around in the American economy. So as far as numbers on the board, yeah, we look so much wealthier. We look so much wealthier than every other nation, and in many instances, in many respects, we are. It's just that money is not necessarily improving your living conditions beyond regular technological advancements improving your material conditions. Because obviously, the great expansion of technological advancements does definitely make a lot of quality of life adjustments in the positive direction. It's just that beyond that, things could be so much better right now. If you look back at economists that looked to the future way back in the day, maybe 100 years ago, it would have been unimaginable to think that people in the Western world would be working this this long, this many hours. It was seen as like an insane prospect, especially with automation. Think about how much more output you are responsible for as a regular worker because you're on your phone and you can do all this shit. Things that you normally previously could only do on a computer. And even before the mass production of computers, you know? People were working, people were still typing shit up. People were sending each other memos that they wrote by hand or by a typewriter. That is a genuine boon in productivity. And yet, none of the extra revenue that you are able to generate, that your corporations are able to generate, ever came back to you in the form of less hours worked or more pay for the amount of time that you put in. That's something you have to think about. That is why we always say, that is why at least Marxists look at productivity increases and recognize that wages have remained stagnant, especially in comparison to the skyrocketing of productivity in this country. In all countries, really. This is not a problem just in the United States of America. It's a problem across the board. It's become such a dire predicament that people are literally anti-technological innovation. We have become, ironically, the Luddites weren't wrong in this assessment. We've become Luddites, which wasn't necessarily a negative thing in general, but they too abhorred technological advancements because what they thought was it spelled trouble for the prospect of workers. And that's what we are right now. We are a nation of Luddites because we understandably look at technological innovation in the form of like AI, for example, and we see that as a mechanism of displacement. We worry that AI is going to displace the existing labor force, going to kick us out of jobs. And in the process, a job that requires 10 people to do will now be done by one person. One person will be doing the job of 10. Maybe one person will be doing the job of 5, but they'll be working extra hours to make sure that they're doing the job of 10. That way, you fire 9 people and you eliminate redundancy in the corporation. That's how it works.
The court said this violates federal law and against race contracts. Another decision came out recently that struck down a federal program and the racial preferences they have for minority-owned businesses. And so basically, if you fell into certain racial categories or ethnic categories, you got favored, preferred, that violates the fundamental principle of equal protection of the law. So I do think a lot of this stuff exists. It's pervasive. But I also think the legal decisions are going to go the right way. They're going to stack pretty quickly. You were saying before, Tim, about the things that are written are ignored in many ways, but what we're worried about is what's happening behind the scenes, it's shrouded. One of the things that we're working on is the way in which the federal government is taking the secrecy that's allowed within the banking system and using it and weaponizing that against people.
Won't even leave any scars.
Totally legal businesses, weaponizing it against people for their constitutionally protected activities like speech and religion. There's a lot coming out on this. I testified in Congress on this a few months ago, where we were actually caught up in freedom because the FinCEN, part of the counterterrorism kind of ecosystem at the federal level, shared a document with the banks saying, look, around the January 6th, we want you to look for people who could be domestic violent terrorists. And they said, here's a list of hate groups, so-called hate groups. They just put out all these far-left activists. We're on it. Lots of other Christian organizations are as well. And they're like, organizations are domestic violence extremists, or at least could be, and people who donate to them. So they're asking big banks to scour the records for people who give donations to groups like us, who use terms like MAGA or Trump or Catholic sporting goods or Cabela's. This is really alarming stuff. So it's a whole government problem. And there's a lot of manipulation of the legal apparatus, especially the counterterrorism and criminal divisions in the federal government, to harm people's First Amendment rights. And so that's a real concern. I think it's all part of the same package.
Yeah, and I think maybe part of the reason I'm a little less optimistic, and I mean, if I were totally pessimistic, I wouldn't have written the book, because I think there are things we can do. But I'm a little less optimistic because I think a lot of these things that we're doing to challenge the law are only as good as the people we have who are enforcing them. And so by that, what do I mean? You just touched on the Harvard Supreme Court decision, which says affirmative action is illegal in universities. So Missouri has a really excellent forward-looking attorney general. As soon as that happens, he cancels $16 million worth of race-based scholarships in the state. But I don't think any other state AG did it, right? Because we actually stepped forward and said, I'm going to go use this. And then the kind of real black pill, if you will, is to look at California. So California has now twice at the ballot box outlawed affirmative action by race in its universities. If you look at the statistics for admission, if you really squint,
Greg Duché responded.
In my life, it was so bad that when I had sexy time, I couldn't even finish. I kept thinking about, what have I done to my life?
Bro, what are you talking about? This is about how he couldn't ejaculate. You liar. I got excited. I got so hyped. You're a hypocrite. Hasanabi didn't bang, by the way. A police department staged a school shooting with zero warning to a classroom. Real brain dead thumbs. Nice. Dude, less than average Joe, you're still being annoying, okay? Just take an hour off. You're just being annoying every day. Please stop.
you can maybe see a little bit of effect that outlawing has had.
Right.
But it ain't much.
This was, that was funny. So
I'm not going to lie. I've like, what was this video on you about? It's about how I'm a hypocrite because I made fun of the way he looks. Okay, listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. This shit is boring. Okay? There's only so much I can take of like a bunch of old ass divorced dads sitting around chirping about how white guys are under attack, white people are under attack. Get to the fun shit, okay? Give me something more than just like, oh, in all my times of working at the federal agencies, I saw white people under attack and I did nothing. It's like, all right, pussy, you should have done something about it then.
So this, you're referring to, I think this was, what, 4 or 5 years ago? They had an attempt to amend the Constitution of California to allow them to discriminate on the basis of race in public contracting and education.
Yeah.
I remember I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's like, excuse me, like a woke LA actress, and I saw that she had posted in favor of it. And so I immediately texted her and then ended up with a phone call, and I was like, so why do you think people should be allowed to discriminate against people based on their race? And she was like, well, no, this is to help, you know, minorities.
Exactly.
And I said, what's like the population breakdown of California? Like what are the racial demographics? Let's pull this one up.
I think whites are like 38% or something, so they're a minority.
So 40% are Latino, 35% are white, 15% are Asian, Pacific Islander, 5% are black. And I was like,
No wonder California is awesome, bro. Holy shit. For all of its faults and failures, Jesus Christ, thank God for diversity. Jesus, Lord mercy. I'm doing my part, okay, by making California more diverse, being a part of the minority, okay? The white minority. I'm here, baby. I'm doing justice to the whites.
You know, what's the breakdown? And then actually, let's do this. Los Angeles. I was like, so the racial makeup of LA is 48.7% white.
But that includes Hispanics there. Like the
dude. Mr. Race Scientist. That includes Hispanics, okay? They're not real white. Bitch, they're white. The f you mean? There it is.
Non-Hispanic numbers.
Well, it says 44.6 are Hispanic or Latino.
Right, because
any race.
it's adding, if you look that, it's adding up to way more than 100, right? Because
Right,
there's a certain number of Hispanics who self-identify as white. So if I had to guess, the white non-Hispanic number.
Oh,
is
right, that doesn't
probably
make sense,
half
does it?
that.
I asked her, I was like, do you think that in like these towns that in California that are predominantly white, do you think they're going to choose to be more or less racist? And she was like,
what?
Well, I would assume more racist. And I was like, why would you want to give them the legal right to do so?
Right.
And she didn't have an answer. I feel like a lot of these activists just want to be racist.